on. We'll get to it after the class. If we don't get to it, we don't get to it. All right. Also, before I wanted to start, I read a really interesting article that I wanted to share with you guys. I don't want to bring it up because it's kind of long and I don't want to make you guys read the whole thing. But the article basically was written by a tech company, and obviously they had some amount of bias because they're providing security solutions to companies. But what they did was something called data scraping, and it was really interesting because the idea here is that all companies publish public information on their websites. Some companies even publish information that shouldn't really be made public on their websites, but they do it anyway. One example that they used was a bank that actually published remote login information for if you were operating out of their East Asia branch. You could just go onto their website and follow this procedure and log into their official servers and then have access to their data. So what this company did is it actually went through a bunch of different banks, financial investment companies, all different types of companies related to finance, and they scraped data off the websites for two purposes. One, to see if there was login information that was left on the websites, and two, to see if there was information that they could glean about mid-ranking officials. Because when people do so, first let me explain to you how this works. So, who's heard of a phishing attack? You guys have probably heard of it. Do you know what it is? So basically what it is they try to write a fake email. So what they might do is they might create an email with the Rutgers template on it and say, please send us your login credentials. We need to make sure that they're secure. Obviously, Rutgers wouldn't do that. They already have access to your information. So the idea is they send you an email and try to trick you into giving them confidential information. And obviously, the more that they know about you, the better they can tailor that approach. So what this company did is it scraped information off the websites and actually created targeted emails. And the idea is that you don't send it to high-level management because they will know right away. You send it to mid-level management who still has access to a lot of the data, or you send it to the secretaries of high-level management who are dealing with a huge amount of data flow on a daily basis, large numbers of emails and things like that. And the company found that they were able to mount really successful attacks. Fortunately, they were a security company, so their whole pitch was, we hacked you guys, and you should hire us. But their point was, in writing the article, that companies upload a lot of this information, some of which they shouldn't even be uploading in the first place. But more importantly, they put all this information out there, and they never go through their website and clean up the information that's on there. So there's a lot of information that may be relevant for a short period of time and may be necessary, but should actually be taken down, and companies just aren't doing that. And it's allowing these hackers to go in and attack the companies much more successfully than they would otherwise be able to do. And so that's something that ties back into the whole auditing framework, because there's like a big question when auditors perform these audits, what do we do with the data when we're done with the audit? So they're supposed to keep it confidential, they're supposed to keep it filed away for future year audits. But what happens if the company abruptly ends the audit engagement? How do you know that you have to go back and find all the past year's information and remove it from your system? Yeah, okay, you have to do that, but how many companies are actually dedicating the time and energy and effort into doing that? So it's just another element of data exposure. And when you guys find out about XBRL, it links in a little bit because XBRL makes the data that people make publicly available much more easy for these people to read and understand. So now to XBRL. Does anybody know what XBRL is? No idea. All right, so XBRL stands for Extensible Business Reporting Language. Pretty much, it's similar in a lot of ways to HTML, HXML, and pretty much what these are they're machine-readable languages, right? So currently the way that it works, or, well, not currently, but 10 years ago the way that it worked, was people would compile financial statements, they would send them into SEC, the SEC would publish this information, and they have what's called the Edgar database. The Edgar database is a database that's free to use, and you can go on and you can search financial reports that order to sift through financial statement information, you ideally would like some sort of machine help to do that, right? And the problem is PDF files aren't machine readable. So the machine knows to put the screen up with the information, but it can't actually understand the information that it's presenting on the screen. So the idea behind XBRL is you tag the information similar to the way that you tag a website, and the machine is now able to read that information into the system, and you can now move this from one system to another straight into Excel without having to do any of the usual prep work that you have to do. Like normally, if you wanted to do this 10 years ago, you would have to go through, you would have to hand copy and paste each individual portion of the financial statement that you want to have in your Excel sheet, one by one, right? So that's a broad overview of the idea behind XBRL. So XBRL, as I mentioned, it stands for Extensible Business Reporting Language. So the second half there, business reporting language, is really important. What they've come up with is what's called a taxonomy. It's an entire listing of all relevant potential tags, is what they call them. And the extensible portion is part that allows businesses to adapt it to their own processes. And we're going to go over a little bit later in the lecture exactly how businesses are actually implementing this. But basically, XBRL came on the scene in mid-2000s. 2008, I believe, was the first year that they started to phase in the requirement. And now all companies that file with the SEC, which is all public companies, have to file their reporting in XBRL format so that it's machine readable. They're actually this year, starting in December, swapping to the new version of XBRL, which is called Inline XBRL, which takes XBRL a whole step further and allows you to actually click on items within the financial statement and actually interact with the financial statement in a viewer, which we're going to look at a little bit later. So, so pretty much XBRL makes the process of converting information from human readable to machine readable much simpler. It's already converted for you. You can aggregate the financial data much simpler using XBRL because you don't have to copy and paste by hand each individual section that you want. And it was originally designed for making comparison of financial statements much simpler for investors, but it's also being used, as we're going to see later on, by auditors to better manipulate the financial information, compare cross-company, and then like cross-sectional, and then compare intertemporal from company to company. And then, as I mentioned, the extensible portion refers to the fact that individual corporations can actually adapt these tags and add customized tags if they have bits of financial information that aren't represented in the taxonomy. But the taxonomy is pretty complicated. So who uses financial reports? So let's go over a background of the whole purpose behind doing this, right? So you have different kinds of financial reports. There's 10Ks, 10Qs, 8Ks, there's way more, right? Basically, these are reports that are released by the company to indicate the financial health of the company, to indicate the economic position of the company, and to give investors a feel as to how the company might perform going forward. They're also, so who uses this data, right? So shareholders obviously use this data to know if the management is doing an adequate job of managing the company. Regulators use this information because they want to know if the company is following the correct regulations. For instance, banks are required to hold a certain amount of money in case there is a liquidity crisis, so they use financial statements to draw conclusions about that kind of information. Potential business partners can look at this kind of information. They can sort of see how the company's performing, if they want to do business with the company, or if they decide maybe they're not doing things the way that we would like, so we don't really want to work with them. Management uses this data a little less than everyone else because they sort of prepare this data, but they still use this data for year-over-year comparison. Lenders, so anybody that wants to take out debt, like anytime a company needs to take out a loan, I can almost guarantee you that any bank will look at some of these financial reporting filings draw some sort of conclusion about the financial health of the company. And then auditors use this information for comparison purposes. It is consolidated. Auditors obviously have to go into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty, but it allows them to get a more broad overview of how the company is performing and what types of accounts they may have to look further into. So why do people need access to this kind of data? Why is it important to report? Why is it important for people to be able to use it on a machine? And it boils back to this idea that I just spoke about a week or so ago. And it's this idea of information asymmetry. So basically, as I mentioned before, management has access to all the data on the company. All the raw data that they want access to, they have access to. And shareholders obviously don't have access to all that information, right? So there needs to be a way for the market to educate shareholders, but in a way that doesn't disclose any sensitive company performance information, right? Because your shareholders could sell your shares and then go to a competitor and help the competitor out if they wish, right? So you need to be able to sort of obscure some of the trade secrets. So what they've come up with is a system of financial reporting where you aggregate smaller accounts into larger accounts, which you report, and that allows you to evaluate the financial health of the company without knowing the specific day-to-day transaction information. The data needs to be conveyed as clearly and accurately as possible in this process. And this is the whole point of SEC regulations, because their goals are to make sure that management is doing as little as possible to manipulate the numbers and to accurately, and doing as much as possible to accurately indicate to shareholders how the company is performing. Not only shareholders, but the rest of the market. Right? So management, obviously, they have a motivation to try to make the firm appear to be performing as well as possible. And shareholders obviously want to know if there's potential problems. So you have this kind of balancing act that occurs. Right? And so the idea of XBRL is one increasing step to overcome this information asymmetry. Because there's a lot that goes into financial statements. I highly recommend, since all of you are doing accounting, if you haven't, go online and look up a financial statement and just go through it and see what they report. All of these different types of accounting practices, inventory management, like do you use LIFO or FIFO, that has to be reported. Their debt structure is totally different company to company, like how much of their debt is bonds versus shares that they owe. And this all plays like a big role, right? And there's different classes of bonds, different classes of interest rates that they have on loans that they may have out, different classes of assets. One great example of this is, for example, Boeing, right? Boeing is actually infamous for doing this because Boeing uses a really aggressive depreciation scale for their airplanes. And the idea is, for most of their airplanes, within 5 to 7 years, their airplane value, they have depreciated on their books as being zero, right? So I'm sure you all know how depreciation works. You can take depreciation off of the value of something. So technically, the value of their airplanes is zero. So if they're performing poorly one year, what they can actually do is they can sell those airplanes, and instead of only recognizing a small portion of that sale as profit, because they may have only depreciated half of it under a normal depreciation scale, they actually have it depreciated to zero, so they can recognize the entire value of the sale as profit, and they can inflate their profit numbers by doing that. And that's something you would have no idea about if you just read the numbers on a financial statement, because you would just look at the net profit and you would think, okay, they must have sold a lot of airline tickets. That's not true. If you read into their depreciation portion of their financial disclosures that are contained in their 10Ks, you would be able to see that they use an aggressive depreciation. They break down exactly where their profit comes from, and you can see that it's an abnormal area of profit that they're just manipulating in order to make their numbers look good. Right? And traditionally, for people to do that, it would be very difficult. They would have to read through the entire financial statement, like hundreds of pages, come to that conclusion, analyze the numbers. So now with XBRL, it's a little easier. You can plug it into a computer and you can run searches. But now with inline XBRL, it's even simpler, because what you can actually do is you see the net profit, you can click that number, and you can see all the different portions and pages in the rest of the financial statement that relate directly to that number. You can jump to them, you can drill down into it, and it's much simpler for an investor or potential investor to kind of figure out the tricks that the company's trying to use and get at this information. Right? Does everybody understand why this is so important? People that do XBRL, they're really nice and they're really smart, but it's kind of boring. So I'm going to try to make it fun as much as I can. Right? So this is the basic model. The company, they create this information, right? And they have to determine what information is relevant to the shareholders and is that information reliable. And the people that do that are auditors, right? So what happens next is once the auditors have audited the information and said, all right, you guys have all this information as correct, it's reliable, and you decided which relevant information is going to contain the financial statements, like at what level of aggregation, because again, all of the day-to-day transactional information is represented in your financial statement, but it's not represented at a transactional level. It's obviously represented at a much more aggregated level. It's up to you to decide how to aggregate that information. So the information gets collected, then shareholders run their information analysis and use it to make decisions, right? Shareholders, all those people we talked about before, lenders, and regulators, right? Those are the big areas. So what AIS does, which is what I study here, is we take this data, the transactions, we use software. We use software and the financial statement information, and we can process the data and draw better conclusions about the information, and we can also produce new information about the company. Right? And this, again, gets forwarded to the users and their ability to make decisions. Right? So this is all well and good, but the problem you can clearly see here is that this step right here, there's a bit of a gap. So we're going to go over that real quick. So in the traditional method of doing things, you have everything offline. So originally you just had it in paper, but even once you got past paper when you had computers, it was in PDF, so it was about as good as paper. Right? And the only way you can kind of get this information or send this information is fax or mail or eventually email, but even then you can't do this crucial step of data analysis, right? So you have limited accessibility to the information that you can collect. So you can collect information, but as I mentioned, it's very, very difficult for you to be able to process that information without going through page by page, picking out the numbers you want, and entering it into an Excel spreadsheet and doing it that way. And that suffers from all the problems that we've discussed before, like data misentry or skipping relevant data, all these kinds of problems. It puts it much more on the user to have to actually solve these issues and do it correctly. So then we have the web, right? And the web comes around with HTML, and all of a sudden you can get your financial reports on the internet, but it's not in a machine-readable format, right? It is sort of machine understandable, I would say, because your machine can still process it, it can pull it up on the screen, but it doesn't, as I mentioned earlier, actually allow you to figure out what the information is. You can't use the machine to process that information. It just reads it as an image file. It doesn't read it as being, this line is cash and cash equivalents. This line is net income. It doesn't understand it, right? It just says, this is a page, these pixels are black, these pixels are white. So you can cut and paste, and you kind of have to do that by hand. So you have to so you can obviously access the data on your computer, but as you can see here, it doesn't allow for data exchange. You can't search through it, and you can't create presentations based on this, right? Which is really what you want to do. This is how auditors can go through this information much easier. And then you have the development of XBRL and XML, right? So XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. This is the internet version. XBRL is business reporting specific, right? And this is sort of what it will look like, right? You can see that you've gone from the black and white papers, now you've got an internet thing here, so we can jump to different sections, okay? Just click on XBRL enabled financial statement, it doesn't look like this, right? It looks like this or like this. It looks like a traditional financial statement, but the machine doesn't see code for this. This is the code the machine sees, right? And within this code here, you have a little red section up here, which we're going to go into a little more depth on. And what this actually tells you is the context of the information. So it's going to tell you what quarter are we operating in, what date is all the information as of. For example, if you're operating in a quarter that ends June 30th, right? So this context information is going to say this information pertains to Apple. This is Apple's SIC code. This is the industry that Apple's in. This is the date that this particular information is related to, right? And that's all going to be contained up here. And then down here, where you see the individual lines, what you have is it's referencing each line here on the financial statement to a tag, right? And there are several tags that can be applied to that data. Like, for example, if you have value, right, your cash and cash equivalent value gets tagged as a number, it gets tagged as cash and cash equivalents, it gets tagged as dollar because it's a financial value, it gets tagged as having 2 decimal points, and it has all these different tags, and that way when you try to import the data into the analysis tool, all of that information is already there for your Excel spreadsheet. Right? So it provides a standard method for preparing, analyzing, and exchanging financial information. The nice thing about using common tags is it also links the companies with a commonality, even if the company may use 2 different words for the same thing. For example, one company might use cash and cash equivalents label. Another company might call it cash equivalents and cash. To us, we all know that that's the same thing. But to a machine reading it before XBRL, even if they could, they couldn't relate those as being the same thing. But using XBRL, even though it's labeled differently technically in the company's financial report, the tag that the company will use will be the same tag from the taxonomy. So it may read cash equivalents and cash, but it will be tagged as cash and cash equivalents. So you'll be able to look at 2 financial statements and compare that exactly without having to do like a word search or something like that. So this is the purpose, right? So you have all these different formats up here, and some of them are machine readable, but there's only like general machine tags for these things like XML. There's no like specific taxonomy. And then you have all these people here that want to use that data, right? And so XBRL sort of links those. So you have clear definitions of all the different things that you're tagging, each different item on a financial statement. You have testable business rules. So within that tag, there's I'll show you a little bit later, but basically the way that it works is the taxonomy is like a chart, right? So it'll go to an overall thing, like for example, assets, right? And then you click on assets when you're tagging it, and then it'll go down and like, what type of asset is it? Is it plant, property, or equipment? You can click on that. Is it for long term or for short term? All those different kinds of things. So you can actually see when you click on it how it fits into the overall taxonomy now that it's inline XBRL. It has multilingual support. XBRL is an international organization, international movement. It operates in a whole bunch of different countries all over the world. The tags are in English, but they also have tags for all different other types of languages. And there's strong software support for it. So like the SEC sponsors this heavily. And the idea is now the software that you can use to read it, the inline XBRL software, is totally open source, totally free for everybody. It's maintained by government agencies, so you know that there's no kind of major problems with it, and things like that. So since the idea behind XBRL is to get it to sync with your data analysis tools, the companies that produce these data analysis tools for accountants and for investors have worked heavily with XBRL, and XBRL has worked with them to make sure that these 2 things merge very easily. And then pretty much what you can do with this is once you have all the information tagged. So tagging is the big problem. I mean, it's not very difficult to do, and once you learn it, it's pretty simple. It's just time consuming. But once you've gone through and tagged all the different portions of your business process, then doing all of these things becomes very easy. And in the following years, there's no need to retag the information, right? You have to review the context, right? Because you're doing it in a new year, so you have to change some of that portion. But it's really not that complicated. So you have all these different things you can do. You can prepare your financial statements. You can use your XBRL tagged information to compare and validate information. For example, you can actually see all of your cash transactions that got tagged with the cash and cash equivalent value and compare it to the aggregated version that the management is trying to present to you and see if it actually looks the same. You can publish this in terms of financial reports, exchange information between companies, because as I mentioned before, not all companies consider the same types of assets as being named the same exact thing. But by using a common labeling system with the tags, you can now compare that information much simpler. And then, obviously, for people to consume the information, like shareholders, investors, those kinds of people, it's much simpler because they can just put it into their data processing program and don't have to worry about hand copy and paste. Actually, when you go to the Edgar Data website now, you can just click download to Excel or something like that, save it as whatever type of data file you want. It's really easy for the computer to do that, and then you can run analysis on that kind of information. Clear so far? So basically, oh yeah, this is actually an interesting feature. Using this multilingual support, you can create your financial reports. So this is a bit about XBRL International. So it's an organization, and it includes different. So here you have 600 leading companies, associations, agencies, and pretty much all these different organizations are pushing towards using XBRL. So now in the United States, XBRL is mandatory. Inline XBRL becomes mandatory this December for large accelerated filers first. So they do like a phase-in. So first it's large accelerated filers, then in the following year it will be all major filers, and then the next year it will be all filers with the net income over, I think, like I want to say like 500,000, but I'm not 100% sure. And then the final year in 2020, what it's going to be is like all people are Republicans. And so here you can see all the different countries that use XBRL. So you have pretty much the entire North American continent, Canada, the United States, Mexico, obviously large chunks of South America. Brazil loves XBRL. They're really all about it because they have a lot of issues with their public companies there, a lot of problems with fraud and things like that. So they've been using XBRL for their financial analysis by their regulators a lot. Australia is one of the most innovative countries when it comes to accounting practices. Australia and the United Kingdom are predominantly Australia, and they really pushed for XBRL when it first came about. South Africa, South Arabia, so you can see that all over the world, XBRL is being used. But more importantly, you can also see that there's a huge diversity of language that's being spoken in all these different countries, like Mandarin, and Hindi, and English, and Spanish, French, German. So XBRL is available in all these different languages, right? So it's all well and good for XBRL to be used by shareholders, but to be honest with you, the main reason why XBRL was invented was for regulators, because the SEC now has this machine system called Zero, right? And what this does is it's pretty much a smart computer, and they won't really tell people how it works for obvious reasons, but it goes through financial statements and financial information, as well as publicly available information like things that we spoke about, social media and big data sources and all that kind of stuff. And the idea is to come up with alarms to indicate fraud or misreporting by management. And before the introduction of XBRL, Zero because all of this financial information that CIRA needs to function is not available. I mean, it's available, it's on the market, but what's the point of having a machine to save all these man hours when you have to have men sitting there, entering the information into the machine? It's totally pointless. So they actually pushed for XBRL implementation so that all of these financial statements can be machine readable by CIRA, and CIRA can be used to look through this and detect wrong. Right? So that was their main motivation. They don't really like to admit it. How successful is CIRA? We really don't know because they won't tell us. They won't tell us how it works. They won't tell us how successful it is. Some people think that it's because they don't want you to know what warning signs they're looking for, because then you can avoid it. Other people think that it's not actually that good and they don't want to be embarrassed by publishing that information. So either way, it does function because XBRL is a thing and you can gather that information and process that information. Right? Yeah, they use it for securities and what's the last one? Oh yeah, so there's 10 countries that mandate open data, and those countries also use XBRL to make sure that you can use that. So it works on a tagging scheme, as I mentioned. The information is tagged based on a taxonomy that was created by the SEC, and the SEC worked with accounting firms to create this taxonomy, and they did it internationally because they wanted it to be IFRS accessible, the International Financial Reporting Standards, what IFRS stands for. So if you're an international filer and you're filing in the United States, you have to have it be XBRL capable. And it also helps because in all these different countries, right, there are American corporations that operate in all these countries that have to report, and since XBRL is standardized in IFRS as well as GAAP, then it works, right? They don't have to redo it. They have the tags, they just have to come up with the IFRS standard format, reapply the tags to the format, so it's much simpler for them to prepare that data. Right? It's already tagged, they already know what it is, they don't have to go and type it. So yeah, and then as I mentioned, tags, they contain like all kinds of background information. Right? And I also mentioned that it was extensible. That's this idea here about how they can create their own tags, which is kind of problematic, and it's something that the SEC is trying to clamp down. Because there's a lot of companies that are having an issue where they're like a little too lazy to actually go look up the correct tags, so they're just putting in their own tags, and that defeats some of the purpose, right? Because the whole idea is not only to make it machine readable for analysis on your company, but it's also to make it intercompany analysis simple, right? And if you have two separate sets of tags for the same piece of information, your machine isn't going to understand it. It's going to qualify it as two separate categories of information, even though it's not, and it's going to make that comparison a lot more difficult. So that's something that they're grappling with, right? So this is what your financial statement looks like, basically, right? So you have your assets, it's broken down into current assets, you have your 2 years, right? So this is for a quarterly report. So you have June 30th, 2009. These are all the values for the most recent quarter, first quarter, right? Yes. And then you have December 31st, and that's from the previous quarter end, the annual quarter end. So this example takes a look at cash and cash equivalents, right? So normally what you would do is you would see, right, so it's 47,000, well actually because it's $1,000, it's 47,038,000, right? And you see, okay, there's just a number, right? So you as a reader of this financial information, human, right? You look at this number and you know some information right off the bat, right? It's in dollars, so the company is reporting this information in dollars. That's helpful, right? Because you can't compare this to, say, euros if you don't know the conversion. So you know that it's dollars. You know that it's related to cash and cash equivalents. It doesn't say on here, but for our example, we're going to assume that this is an know that it's part of the Apple financial statement for the quarter ending June 30th, 2009. So you know that this is the balance on that date. And you can draw these kinds of conclusions, right? So originally a machine would look at this and just see, okay, black pixels, white pixels, some blue pixels in there. That's all I can tell, right? But now with XBRL data, this information has been tagged, and you can tell from the go through how the tagging works. Okay, this pertains to Apple. This is the SIC code for Apple. It's a technology type of company. You can also tell, as I mentioned before, that it's in US dollars. It's part of cash and cash equivalents on this date. The information's been audited or it wouldn't have been appearing in an official SEC financial statement. And the machine, as well as the human, can now draw all of these conclusions about the information. So if you were to put this into an Excel spreadsheet and you didn't know one of these pieces of information, like the fact that this was the SIC code, you could actually query it and it will spit back that information instead of being a dumb processor that requires human input in the first place. Granted, this is human input, but it's not the investor's input, it's separate, it's the company's input. So it provides meaning and context to that individual number, right? And this is how it actually looks, right? So you have this section at the top here, and this is all the context information, right? So this is going to tell you all of the general information on the company and the general information on this particular sheet that you're looking at. So anything that is not included in this particular line right here is included in this context information. So date, the name of the company, whether it was actually, so this is a balance sheet, that information will be included there too. The information about the company, not only the name of the company, but all different types of codes and company numbers. It will also tell you, I mentioned the date, and the fact that it was an audited statement, what type of statement it came from, all that kind of information. But this next section down here is the tagged information. So if you, we'll look in a minute, we'll hear it later, but what the tagged information tells you is the information pertaining to this exact number, right? So both of these numbers are tagged. Both of the tags contain the same amount of information, but it's slightly different, right? So the tag will read cash and cash equivalents. So underneath the cash and cash equivalents tag, it will say US dollars, it will say how many decimal places it gets rounded to, all that kind of information. So far, so good. So this is the context that I mentioned. It's the report-specific information, the entity-specific information, the date, and all that kind of stuff. So it allows you to see in relation to other information. So the context for this data here is going to look slightly different than the context for this data over here, because everything's the same except for the dates, right? The dates are part of the context. This is going over the context. So this is kind of what it looks like when it's tagged. So this is the code for the identifier. So this tells you the computer exactly where to look for the information, what type of information to see down on section 3. Now this is saying to go to the SEC website. This is the code that it is that pertains to it. For the instant, this is the date, right? So it's the 12th of, the 31st of December 2008. So it's referring to this section right here. Then this separate, okay, what you can see here is this portion is exactly the same, right? Because this is identifying the company. That's why it says identifier, right? That's the wording for this portion of tagging. So this is going to remain the same, but then the information for the instant is going to be different because it's going to be different dates, right? So what it is here for the context ID is when you are tagging the individual tag, like both of these tags will get a tag for cash and cash equivalents, right? This tag will include in it a context ID that is whatever you put in here. So for this context ID, they said 6 months ending 30th of June, right? So this will have a context ID of the 6 months ended the 30th of June, and this will have a context ID for the 6 months ending on the 31st of December. So that's where that that breaks down. So this is the idea behind the context programming. And then when you get to element tagging, this is what it looks like, right? So you have this information here. So this is saying, look at, this is going to be tagged as cash and cash equivalent value. So that's what this first red portion here is. This is the name of the tag, right? This is what is in the actual taxonomy of XBRL. So you can see here it's referring to US GAAP, so they know that it's going by the United States standard, so it's going to have dollars and all those different things. Cash and cash equivalents and carrying value. So here they don't say at carrying value, but that's the way it's defined in the tag. So that's the tag direction. So this tag is in the system. Every company that is tagging whatever they call cash and cash equivalents is using this tag to identify. Then you have the context information. So this is referring to this December 31st end information. It says 12 months ended 30th of December 2008, right? So here you have context ID, 12 months ended 31st December 2008. And you have all this information related to the context ID. So here, underneath the tag, you include the context information so the machine knows where to reference the blanks that it doesn't actually know, right? So instead of having to program all of this information into each individual tag, you have a reference to that information. Then you have the unit reference, the decimal information that's included, and then they repeat the tag again to close out the program. Understood? So this is your tag for this. This is your tag for this. And then your context up here pertains to everything in this column. And your context down here pertains to everything in this column. Clear? So this is the actual tag they use, as I mentioned here. This is the actual tag they use. They cut off the US GAAP section, but this is the tag. And this tag, as I mentioned, is what's actually defined as the taxonomy. So they went through every different item within a financial statement and created a tag. It's a very long process. So now you can see how the machine breaks it down. So before you just had a number, now using the tagging, you had dollar information, decimal information. By looking at the context, you get this information. This information is garnered just from the tag. And then again, this information also comes from the context portion. So this is what it looks like when you're actually trying to program XBRL into your financial statement. So what you can see here is you have all the different, so it's broken down, right? So you start with the fact that you're creating some sort of statement, and you want to include a line item, which is cash. So you click on line items, and you know cash is an asset, so you drill down to assets. You get to cash equivalents, and short-term investments, cash and cash equivalents and carrying value, and then you click on cash. So if you got a line item that was cash, which is on every financial statement, this is how you go into it, click on it, you do all the information about it, right? The idea here, where it's like period type instant, this tells you how the information is aggregated, right? So for cash, it's an instant because technically what you're reporting is your cash on hand at that exact date, right? Some other pieces of information is aggregated, so it wouldn't say instant, it would say something else, right? Is it an abstract idea or is it a numerical value? Obviously, if it's a value property, this is false, and you can't have it in zero. So this is how it would look. You just click. You click to get the tag, and then you program in the information behind it. Not that difficult. And so this moves towards inline XBRL. So for you guys to understand this, I have a video because it's much easier.
Welcome to an overview of the Inline XBRL Viewer, a new open source software tool for viewing, navigating, and searching public company financial reports. I am Matthew Slavin with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's Office of Structured Disclosure within the Division of Economic and Risk Analysis. This brief introduction will highlight how the viewer lets you navigate, review, and search an inline XBRL quarterly or annual filing in ways never before possible. In this example, we won't be working with an actual filing, but one we've created for this demonstration. When viewing a filing using the inline XBRL viewer, you'll notice a border around each tag disclosure. If you want to look at the underlying XBRL tag, simply click on the item to reveal detailed information about that disclosure, such as can be seen in this example using.
So what you can see here, when you hover over, it tells you some overall information, but if you actually click on it, it gives you this interactive dashboard that comes up, and it tells you all the types of attributes that are tagged to this piece of information. So here you can see, this is the tag that's used, cash equivalents, US GAAP, that's what we saw before. Then you can see the actual number, the fact portion, and the interesting thing here is the number is the absolute number. It's not here where you see it's like in thousands of dollars or something like that. It's the absolute number. Then you can find out how it's measured in dollars. The scale is thousands, so it's actually reported in thousands. Decimals in thousands. The balance should be a debit, and it is. So that's what it's telling you. And then if you, I don't think they'll keep going through this, but if you keep going through this, it will continue to tell you what other portions of the financial statement relate back to this, right? As we saw on the picture I showed you guys before, you saw that this tag, right, cash and cash equivalents and carrying value, was a broader topic, and there were subtopics underneath it, right? You guys remember that 2 minutes ago? So if you continue to these other panes, it will actually say these are the other tags that are below this tag, and you can click on that, and it will jump to the portion in the document where that information is reported. So you can see obviously that this is like way more powerful than just looking at financial statement. You can also see all of this data is tagged. Anything with an orange outline on it is tagged. So even here, like the common stock information is tagged, total number of shares is tagged. You saw in the beginning the the company's information is all tagged because there's different information that may not be reported on every sheet of paper, and each of these is linked to the previous year. So if you were to click here, period would be a separate period that this period would be reported on.
Cash and cash equivalents on the balance sheet. The inline XBRL viewer lets on the balance sheet.
So here you have, it says definition, sorry, here you have the definition of exactly what this means, this tag, and this is useful for people that are not very knowledgeable investors that want to know a little bit more about what they're reading. So here it tells you the amount of currency on hand, all that kind of information, and that's the formal definition of what it is. And then this is what I was kind of mentioning before, right? This is actually how it fits into the taxonomy. So the overall section is cash, and you break down into cash equivalents, and then you can see if you scroll down, if you were to keep scrolling down, you can see the different subtopics that are within this.
The inline XBRL.
And then this obviously is like just the final amount of information. So this is what section this information is currently in. Balance, as I mentioned, any weights that are present, and like what the parent topic is. So here it's current assets. If you come down below assets, it can say something like current liabilities or something. Or if you were to look at something like property, plant, and equipment, it might not say current assets, it will say assets.
Our viewer lets you easily navigate a filing. On the left-hand side of the toolbar, you'll find tagged sections. Expanding this will show a table of contents for the various tagged financial report sections. For example, expanding the Notes section and selecting segment information will take you to that footnote, while selecting Document and Entity information will return you to the top of the filing. This feature can help you to quickly find the disclosure you're looking for without having to learn the presentation structure developed by each filer. Here's something that might be especially appealing. When you're looking for specific disclosures, you might use the browser word search feature. If you do that to search for stock compensation in this sample filing, you would only find a single result. Now watch this. In addition to the common browser word search, the inline XBRL viewer lets you perform a reference topic search of the underlying information associated with the tagged disclosures. For example, by checking the reference search option in Settings. You can now search related reference information such as FASB Accounting Standards Topic 718, Stock Compensation. By typing FASB and 718 in the reference box and clicking the search button, the viewer returns matching results in our sample filing for share-based compensation, showing both the description of the accounting policy and other disclosures that have the associated reference. The topic search function highlights any narrative text and amounts related to the FASB 718 tag reference.
So the idea here, what he's going through, is simple. Right? Something you might want to know as an investor is how is the management compensated using stock, right? That's the purpose of looking this up. And that can be very important because if they get a lot of stock compensation, then management might have, and the compensation might be structured in a way that they can trade pretty quickly, then management might have a really high incentive to drive up the stock value more efficiently, right? So that might be something you want to look at. So what it's telling you is if you use just the regular search or a traditional search, you might only hit on a few keywords. But if you use their souped up version of the search, then what it will allow you to do is search through all related things that pertain to that scheme. And instead of just searching for a word that might only be mentioned once, you can actually search for the topic that is in reference to the word, right? It might be stock compensation, but they might call it something else, right? You may not actually put the word stock and compensation next to each other. So this lets you find that information more simply. What I mentioned before this also is interesting because, as I said before, so this portion of the financial statement is pretty much standard, but the overall financial statement can be prepared in lots of different ways. And having to learn the way that each company reports, especially when they're releasing these financial statements that are like hundreds of pages, can be very cumbersome, right? Having to sift through all that information. So simply having a menu that allows you to skip these every section makes that process a lot simpler.
Identifying all items related to disclosure topics of interest may help reduce time search for users. This function wasn't available before the inline XBRL viewer. Filtering is another powerful feature of the inline XBRL viewer. For example, one filter allows you to quickly identify all amounts that were tagged as negative values in XBRL. You can search for values where a standard tag was not used and a custom tag was created instead. For example, if a filer created a custom tag for a goodwill amount on the balance sheet, the inline XBRL viewer will highlight those amounts. Combining different filters allows you to efficiently pinpoint specific disclosures. For example, to view all numerical disclosures reported by business segment for 2015, simply select Amounts Only from Data, 2015 from Periods, and Business Segments from Axes. As you can see, the viewer quickly highlights and lists the matching results. Note that in the toolbar, each combined filter is listed and can be individually removed. The filter function allows users to quickly find potential data errors. These are just a few of the things you can do with the inline XBRL viewer. I hope this demonstration has been helpful to you. If you have any feedback, including thoughts or ideas on improving the viewer, please contact us at structureddata@sec.gov. The inline viewer software is an open source and freely available to facilitate the creation of cost-effective inline XBRL viewer features and analytical products by software developers. We thank you for your time and hope that these and the other features of the inline XBRL viewer will assist users in navigating, searching, and reviewing the structured disclosures within inline XBRL filings.
So, are there any questions?
So is that like the standard viewer now when you go onto like SEC website, the Edgar database?
Yeah, you have to, no. So if you just go onto the Edgar database, it'll just be Edgar. You have to download the program.
Oh.
But if you download the program, then it's the same. And the program also allows you to create your own tagged information and view it before you publish it. Which is nice. But how do auditors use this information, right? So this is kind of important because that's the whole topic that we're trying to discuss here. So you can see how drilling down into the information is way easier using the inline XBRL and XBRL in general, right? I mean, you could just type in and it would narrow down information, it would show exactly where. And if you notice, I don't know if you did, but some of those pages of information were like way separated out in the financial statement. So you'll be flipping through tens of pages at a time just to get to each of those bits of information. Whereas even before XBRL, you had to read all of those pages to figure out exactly where that kind of information is coming from. So auditors can take this information and they can analyze the past year's performance. They can analyze all these different indicators that they want to apply to this current year audit. All these different types of techniques that we've been talking about, like prediction analysis, using regressions, all that kind of stuff. It's all well and good if the company is providing that information to you on hand. So companies are supposed to provide all this information, and they will if you really pressure them, but they can be a little reluctant sometimes. They may not always want to help auditors. A lot of people that work in these companies, they get very frustrated. The new guidelines require audit partners to be swapped every four years, I believe it is. So every 4 years, you pretty much have a new person coming in. You have to learn about your company. The manager's there. He's trying to do his job. He's trying to manage the company and be successful with that. And all of a sudden, you have an auditor coming in and asking all these questions. To you, they seem like simple questions because it's how you operate your company on a day-to-day basis. And it can cause like a little bit of friction there. So this is just another source of information that's a little bit independent that auditors can use to scan through. Also, ideally, some of this information, while it may not be published yet, is available to auditors before it gets published, right? Because they're still auditing it, so they can kind of look through and see some of those things. It allows you to search for company policies, like what you saw with the stock compensation, and that's something that's important to auditors. Auditors may not always think to ask these questions, and they may be conducting some tests and think about it and realize that it's something that they want to look into. So they can just pull up a past financial statement from the previous quarter or something like that, search through it using this inline viewer, and get the kind of information they want instead of having to wait to meet with the manager, talk to the manager. Maybe the manager doesn't quite know the answers, got to talk to someone else, all these kinds of problems. So it just kind of streamlines the process for the auditor just a little bit more. That's really the importance from an auditing standpoint of inline XBRL. The other nice thing is it gives you these year after year factors, right? You saw how you can compare the information pretty simply. You can click and you can see exactly which year it pertains to, all that kind of a thing. So it allows you to see how the company's performance can change year after year. You can search for a particular tag and see through the filings. You can compile your own database of all the annual filings for the company for the last few years. For example, you can go onto Edgar and just pull these off for free. And you can use this kind of viewer to highlight that information from multiple years' statements and compare that and come up with your own type of predictive analysis techniques. Does everyone get this? Any questions on XBRL? All right, so now we're going to do a little bit on blockchain. Oh, wait. So this is this is the idea. So this is the requirements by the SEC for people to start putting their inline XBRL into their financial statements. So as I already mentioned, XBRL itself is already mandatory, but inline XBRL is not quite mandatory yet. And so the idea here is wanting to use more of the standard tags, because you saw how there was one custom tag you went through, and on the last page there was like no information available. So if you have it standard tags, then it'll give you like SEC websites to go to for more information on cash and assets and that kind of stuff. So here already, the regular hyperlinks XBRL is already adopted. It's for everyone, and this is kind of the timeline for the hyperlinks for the inline XBRL. So this is the portion of it that lets you click and some information comes up. The inline XBRL is the formal full version, and then the IFRS taxonomy, which is the international reporting standards technology, is coming obviously in the future. So right now they have to be here. You can see that the largest eligible filers, they're going to start filing in September, and everyone else, with the exception of the smaller reporting companies that are filing older code, they have until next September to start doing this. Right? So right now, the comments were due on how inline XBRL works back in May. That's done. They're processing through that, and hopefully next month we'll have the final rules. And pretty much at this point, by March 2020, everyone's going to have to adopt this. So once that happens, all these different phase-in options come. Now, 2020, almost. But this slide is great. This is about the benefits to auditors. It allows them to search and ask for information feeds. You can leverage the idea that there's more in-depth analysis, like how it lets you drill down and click on different things. Makes the machine-readable information easy to import to any software, because before XBRL at all, this wasn't an option. And it allows auditors to better understand the relationships that exist between them. So the reason why you have some of these is because while this is mandatory, there's voluntary filing options for companies, and some companies are doing this voluntary. All right, so I don't have the last set of slides on this, but I will have it done so that I can upload it. But it's going to look similar. So this is the one. This is my research actually, so that's why I was happy to present it, because I'm doing a lot of research into blockchain and smart contracts. So first, a little bit of an overview. You guys know what internal controls are. Basically, an internal control is any kind of process that's designed to provide reasonable assurance that the information being presented is reliable and that it can be prepared in financial purposes, prepared on financial reporting, financial statements for the purposes of reporting in a fair and accurate way, right? And this is just designed to prevent material misstatements from occurring, or really any misstatements, right? So anything that pertains to the maintenance of record, right? So even just saying that we keep the receipts of our purchases, that's technically an internal control. Anything that's designed to provide a reasonable assurance that the transactions reported were necessary and are reflected accurately. So this can be things that like authorizations for payments and things like that. And then that also feeds into the last section here, which is anything that provides some sort of reasonable assurance that there's a detection of unauthorized activity, right? So internal controls range from everything, from the fact that you can't spend more than $50 on company dinner, right? Because then that's preventing excessive spending that the company doesn't want. Another internal control could be as simple as having a keypad to get into a secure area, or simply logging information in your computer. That's a version of an internal control. A whole swath of things that can be internal controls. And internal controls are actually like a huge deal in accounting, because for those of you that don't know, the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was passed, and it was designed to try to mitigate some of the problems that happened with Arthur Anderson and Enron. For those of you that don't know, history lesson here. Basically, Enron was a huge company. They did a lot of different things. Primarily, they sold energy. They did a lot of things that were very shady. Like, for example, in California, there were rolling blackouts. You guys might be too young to remember this, but there were rolling blackouts that happened in the early 2000s. And Enron said that this was because there was too much demand for their energy. There was no electricity supply there. But it was found out after the fact that they were actually struggling to make money, and this was a money-saving technique that they were using, and they were actually using it to manipulate the energy prices of the market, and they were driving up, they were trading based on the fact that they knew that they were going to cause a blackout in an area, and they were driving up the price of the electricity in the area so they could make more profit as well. They were doing a lot of illegal things. They were doing things like they built a giant power plant in India that they never actually finished, but based on some creative accounting techniques that were technically legal at the time, they were able to claim revenues for the plant for 10 years while it was still under construction, even though they ended up never even finishing the construction of the plant and they never produced any electricity for them. Then when they got into serious trouble, like with their money management, they started creating dummy companies and using like lending money to the dummy companies, and then the dummy company would give it back to them, so the money would still be on their books, but it would be also marked as like potential money that they were going to get back in the future because they wouldn't write it off because the money would be back. So they would lend out a loan. Their little dummy corporation would get the loan, give it back to Enron. They wouldn't mark the loan as being repaid, so it would look like they had more assets on the book. Right? So they did all these things, and Arthur Anderson, back in those days, there was the Big Five. Arthur Anderson was one of those big accounting firms, and they had been auditing Enron for a really long time, and they built a really close relationship with Enron. And they pretty much were found. So then Enron goes under. People lose their jobs. Pension funds invested in Enron. They lose all their money. So not only do people lose jobs, but there's other people that put their whole life savings into this that also lost all that money. And people want answers. And what happens when these companies go under? Obviously, the company's bankrupt. They can't even pay back their debt, let alone their shareholders or any litigation that comes their way. So the first thing that happens in these situations is they come after the auditors, because the auditors were supposed to know what was going on. They were supposed to inform the market more accurately if there was a material misstatement or some creative accounting that was happening. And they are still in business. They have a lot of money. So they have money to give you if you sue them. So they sued the auditors. They sued Arthur Anderson. Arthur Anderson was eventually found criminally liable for negligence, and they actually lost their auditing license for a couple of years. So they were actually able to get it back, but that was a death knell for them. They ended up spinning off portions of Arthur Anderson and selling them to other companies, and Arthur Anderson effectively went under business. And the idea was the Sarbanes-Oxley Act was put forward, and the idea here was to prevent all of the things that Arthur Anderson did from happening again, right? So now, because of Sarbanes-Oxley, you have to rotate audit partners because they didn't want the same auditor to sit in there, become too comfortable with the management, and there's kind of like an adverse system of incentives there, right? Because you're an auditor, your responsibility is to make sure that it is the information is being presented accurately and that you're accurately reflecting the health of the company. But you also are getting paid a lot of money by this company to audit them, right? So you're not really totally independent. You want to make sure that you maintain the audit engagement, otherwise you could lose a huge chunk of business, right? And your boss isn't going to be happy about that. So the idea behind rotating auditors is that you kind of remove some of this like friendly nature from it, right? And then there's also laws about how like you can't work in industry and come into auditing and vice versa as easily, those kinds of things, right? The other thing that was included in Sarbanes-Oxley was the mandatory nature of internal controls, not only having to be mandatory, but making the audit of internal controls mandatory. Because it's all well and good for you to say there's a keypad on that door and nobody can get in to access our classified government information. But if the keypad's broken and there's no lock on the door, then yeah, you have an internal control, but it's not operating effectively, right? So now auditors are required to go into companies and audit the system of internal controls to make sure that they're operating effectively and efficiently. Right? So this is a whole new thing that auditors have to do. Managers are actually now required to make a management assertion on internal controls, so they have to verify that they've checked and they know, as far as the best of their knowledge, that their internal controls are operating effectively. That's so that they can become criminally liable if they find out that they weren't, if that's not the case, right? And so, yes, so while they only need to review internal controls over financial reporting, they also need to review other internal controls. So for example, like the example I gave you with a keypad for a secure area, right? That doesn't directly affect financial reporting, because it doesn't matter. If someone goes in and steals some company secrets from you, then okay, it will affect the performance of your company, but it doesn't affect the materiality. Like, your cash is still the same value. There's no fraud going on. No one's stealing any money from the company, right? But what they've said is these things actually tie in, right? So if people think that your company is valued X and your information isn't totally secure and that could impact the value of your company, then that could have a material impact on the value of your company. And so auditors have to kind of review those controls to make sure that they're well used, right? Often internal controls are circumnavigated, they're hard to monitor because companies are huge and most companies are huge and it's very difficult to have correct checks and balances on everything. For example, I'm looking at the bank's manual entries right now, and every manual entry is supposed to have an authorization on it, but there's like a huge number, like a couple hundred of them, that have no authorization offices on. And so like the accountant goes in and they say, okay, no, these are all fine for legitimate reasons, but the control is still circumnavigated, right? So how effective was it? So then there's the cost of auditing and maintaining the manual controls. It's way higher to do this for the manual controls than for the actual automated controls. For example, if you were to have a keypad on a door, you're just maintaining the electricity value of running the keypad. If you have to hire a security guard to stand in front of the door, that would be an example of the manual controls, and that would be a lot more expensive. It's also a lot more expensive to audit that because you need to go through all the security footage and make sure it was a security guard actually standing there the whole time. Were they awake the whole time? Right? So these are all factors that factor in. So you're going to see kind of over the course of this presentation how this merges with the idea of blockchain and the idea that most companies are trying to make these internal controls more automated so that it's easier for the auditors, it's cheaper for them, but also it's cheaper for the company to actually maintain. Right? So there's also a growing body of literature that's pushing for continuous audit, and as we spoke about in the beginning of this class, you can't have a continuous audit with manual functions because how can you continuously assess a manual function? So keep all that in mind. We're going to revisit it, but now we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk about blockchain specifically. Right? So what is blockchain? Blockchain is a decentralized ledger system that was originally developed for Bitcoin trading. Right? So this guy, or we don't actually know who it was, somebody named Satoshi Nakamoto published a paper, and there have been actually like a whole slew of investigations into who this was that actually created it, but it's totally unknown. It's believed that it was a male because they refer to themselves as being he, but there's also references to multiple parties in the actual paper, so they think that it's a conglomerate of people. Then some people have done like timestamp analysis of the code for blockchain to see like where in the world the person likely lives. Basically, we really have no idea. Right? And that's kind of a problem with blockchain because a lot of people think that there might be some sort of backdoor in blockchain that we don't know about, and because we can't hold anyone accountable for it, that's what it exists. But for now, this is blockchain. Right? Satoshi Nakamoto published this paper, and it was basically an idea for an online trading system that allowed for total anonymity between the different parties while having a secure system to verify the information. Right? Because here's the problem. If you have two people that are anonymously trading money, how do you actually know? Like, you run the risk. So there's a huge trust problem. If I have no idea who I'm giving this money to, if they're going to give me the good back or anything like that, or even if I give them the good and they're supposed to be giving money, how do I even know that they have the money that they're promising? There's no way for me to know. I have no idea who they are. I have no way of tracking any of their information. And so blockchain is a solution to that. It allows for a system where two anonymous parties can exchange the exchange of the currency can be totally validated and it can be totally secure, right? And the other idea here is that it's totally decentralized. So this is why you have everyone operating on Bitcoins to do all these really sketchy things. Like, for those of you that haven't heard of Silk Road, it was basically a black web website that allowed you to buy anything using Bitcoins. Like literally anything. You could buy children's toys, you could buy drugs, you could buy weapons, you could buy radioactive material, you could buy bed sheets, you could buy a new door for your apartment. Literally anything you could buy, want to buy, you could buy on Silk Road. And it operated using Bitcoin because it's totally anonymous. So it's all very fair to say this is Bitcoin wallet paid me for these drugs, but I actually have no idea who that person is, so I can't track it down. Also, so the idea here is that it's decentralized. So traditional systems, like traditional monetary systems like our dollar system in the United States, requires the central banking system of the United States to operate. So all transactions get cleared through the central bank at the end of the day. Like, for example, if you use your credit card, so technically you're transferring your money from your bank account to another company's bank account, and at the end of every day, the central bank clears all those transactions through its clearinghouse. And it says, okay, all of these accounts are being deducted, all of these banks owe this bank this much money, and there's a centralized system that allows for these checks and balances. But Bitcoin has come up with a way around that, and it says, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to share this information with everyone. So instead of having one centralized system that if it goes down, we can have huge problems with that, now every person, so everyone on a blockchain is called a node, right? And with the exception of what we're going to get to later, for most blockchains, every node has access to the entire blockchain. So if you want to participate in Bitcoin trading, you can do that without, actually, I'm pretty sure for Bitcoin trading, you actually need to download the entire Bitcoin blockchain onto your, that's for Bitcoin mining. For Bitcoin trading, you can operate through a wallet house, like an exchange, right? And they can have it for you. But basically, every trader on the market has a blockchain, right? Has access to the blockchain. So if I download the blockchain, the Bitcoin program to my computer right now, right? I have a node on the Bitcoin system, and I have access to information on every single Bitcoin transaction that has ever occurred, and as long as I have the program, will ever occur, right? And the idea here is that if one node goes down, the entire system can still say, this is actually the ledger as it's supposed to happen, right? So that's the idea behind decentralization of the blockchain network, and it's really important because it's one of the main features that makes blockchain so secure for sharing information, right? Because this is where it ties into accounting and where it ties into auditing. Is that blockchain is a super, super secure method of sharing information. So with the respect to the Bitcoin network, the data is not all anonymous, right? So the wallet data is still linked to an actual wallet that you can trace, but the owner of the wallet you can't link to the wallet, right? Whereas for corporate data, what you can do is before you load the data onto the blockchain, you can encrypt the data, so it's loaded on the blockchain, and everyone has access to that data to say this is the correct data on the blockchain. They can't actually read the data that's within that portion of the encryption. So the blockchain can be broken into three separate versions. It's not actually three distinct versions, it's more like a spectrum. So on one end you have public blockchains, and on the other end you have private blockchains. Public. So under public blockchains, everyone has a right to do everything. So if you're a node on the Bitcoin network, you can mine for Bitcoins, you can validate information that's going on to the network, you can interact with the network. On a totally private blockchain, not everyone has access to all the information. So this is kind of where the companies are moving towards using blockchain for corporate level. Right? So the problem here is it's fully decentralized. Right? Everyone has access to everything, everyone can do everything. The private blockchain, the big debate is exactly there's a central authority. So someone still has to decide, all right, Joe, an accountant, he has access to upload all of the information to the blockchain, and he can act as a miner on the network, right? But Jim, our shareholder, he gets access to view the data, but he can't actually upload information onto the blockchain. Right? So that's the idea behind private, where you're restricting all the rights. And then in the middle, you have semi-private, where you can have viewing rights open to some people, like I just mentioned, verification rights restricted. Like in that situation, maybe everyone has the right to view, but not everyone has the right to verify information. In private, everyone gets put into a little box, right? Everyone understands this so far. No expensive. So how does blockchain work? Well, we're going to talk about this in the scope of Bitcoin blockchain because it is sort of the most widely used of blockchains, and in my opinion, it's the direction that companies have to go with it. So, yeah.
Have you heard of theory of 51% attack?
Yeah, we're going to go over this all the time. So, all right. First, we'll do this, and then we'll go into 51% attack because it's important. And then here, behind making it a public blockchain eliminates the 51% attack. So here, so what happens is you have a bunch of transactions, right? So you have a whole bunch of transactions here. They're all occurring in the system. Transactions occur, and within the Bitcoin blockchain, the way that it works is it's on a time system, right? The time system changes a little bit, but it's effectively about every 10 minutes that a new block is mined, right? So once all this information is approved, you can either have it be like so many bytes of information, and then whenever you get to that amount of bytes of information, it's called a block. You can have it be so much amount of time, which is a more prevalent concept because the time gets used later on, and the time can be used to track the information through the blockchain. So once you have, for Bitcoin, once you hit 10 minutes, the cutoff is made, right? And then they start filling up a new block that's separate. So you have this block here. Then what happens is the block gets mined, right? And what happens when the block gets mined is that miners first have to verify all the transaction information in this block. So what is happening here is there's one party trading to another party here, and then another party trading to the fourth party here, and then maybe the first party has another transaction. And then the fourth party, there's so much money, whatever. The point is that these are all individual transactions. Right? And each of these transactions need to be verified because you need to know that person one is giving money to person two actually owns the money that they're trying to give to person two. So what the system does is it says, all right, person one's wallet ID is X, right? So now we're going to look through the rest of the blockchain that exists, and we're going to identify every instance in which this wallet was involved. And it needs to verify that there's actually, throughout the rest of the blockchains, the past blocks of blockchain, that this wallet was designated at some point enough Bitcoins to be able to give to wallet number 2 the required number of Bitcoins for the transaction. Understood so far? Okay. So it searches through the blockchain, and once it confirms that information, it says, okay, no problem, move to the next one. So it goes through all this information, and pretty soon you verify all the data on the road, right? So what happens next? Then the blockchain issues what's called a challenge string to the miners. And the challenge string is a problem that needs to be solved by the people using the blockchain who want to mine for people. So this is what's called a proof of work. Right? This is what's called proof of work. And the idea here is that you have two, so a block gets hashed, right? And the block hash, what a hash is, it's a sequence of symbols. It can be numbers, it can be letters, it can be anything. So it's a sequence of symbols that identify this particular block. And the sequence of symbols that are in a hash are designated based on all of the information within this particular block, right? And all of the information based on the hashes of all blocks previous. Right? Still got this? And what it does is it compiles the hash. And this hash is like super, super important because this is how you can actually tell if someone is trying to attack the blockchain. So the hash is this information. It's based specifically on this information. So the blockchain network would come up with a hash like 1A79B, right? If, for instance, this was not a transaction between 4 and 5, and this was instead a transaction between 4 and 2, that little change in data would result in a different hash, right? Also, if someone tries to alter a previous block, then it won't fit because the hash relies on all of this past data. The hash actually relies on the hash of the previous block. The hash of the previous block relies on the hash of the data within the block and the one in the block previous to that. So you can see how they all get linked over. Understood? So once it's generated this hash, it develops what's called a challenge string. And without going into too much detail, the idea here is that the miner has to come up with the correct response to the challenge string that, when combined within an algorithm that blockchain uses, results in this hash. Right? And the way that this works is they have, it's like a 40-bit solution. A bit is like one individual piece of information, like one individual character, like 0 or 1. Right? So it's a 40-bit solution that they test for, and there's literally no way to solve this. They don't know the algorithm to combine it, so they pretty much have to do this brute force stuff. So 2 to the 40 options, that's like a crap ton of options, right? So you have all these different miners that are out there that are trying to come up with the correct solution. So pretty much what you have here, right, is you have this information, and you have y, which is the hash, and you have some sort of complicated equation. For the purposes of demonstration in this class, we'll use a really simple version. They issue a challenge string, we'll call this H. So you have an H for hash, right? And they issue a challenge string. And then there's some computation required, but for the simple purposes of this demonstration, we'll call it addition. And they need to come up with the correct response string that can create this hash, right? So they know this, because it's right there, and they know this, because it's what's issued by the blockchain system, and they have to come up with this, right? When they come up with what they believe to be the correct response, then they relay that information to the blockchain system and say, hey, we got a response. Then the blockchain verifies it using this complicated algorithm to get the correct hash, and then it says, all right, you got the correct response, the block has been verified, and now we can upload this block onto the chain, right? Here where you have 2 to the 40 options, this varies, right? Because you don't want to come up, it could be that you have come up with a challenge string that's too complicated, and it takes the miners more than 10 minutes to come up with a response. Or it could be that there's not a lot of miners on the network at the time, so it's taking them longer than ready. But it doesn't matter. In 10 minutes' time, there's going to be another block ready. So the algorithm within the blockchain system actually adapts what's going on with the challenge string in order to make the response more difficult or more challenging to get it to be every 10 minutes a miner solves the problem. Okay? So once that happens, the correct solution is found, the winning miner, so several miners are trying at the same time to guess the correct response string. Once the winning miner is picked, they get rewarded through the blockchain system, and they move on to the next one. Everyone moves on to the next one, right? So this is how Bitcoins are introduced into the system. People mine by doing this, by coming up with their response strings, and they get rewarded Bitcoins, right? And this kind of goes on like in a diminishing returns situation. So every 2 years, I think it is, the value of like the reward for mining goes down. And in, I think it's 2,240 or something that year, they're not going to be introducing any more Bitcoins into the system. It eventually diminishes to zero at that point. That's way in the future, but there's a lot of speculation as to what happens in there, because then you have a really rare problem that occurs within currency where you have this neat thing called deflation. Right? So everyone knows what inflation is. It's when you introduce too much currency into the system and the value of the currency starts to crash because, if I'm charging $100 for a gold ring, but everyone makes $100 an hour, then the value of the gold ring is going to go up to $1,000, right? So that's what inflation basically is, right? So in deflation, so blockchain only introduces to this point. Now you get to a point where we're not introducing any more currency into the system, and currency is actually being removed from the system because people are dying or losing passwords to their wallet, and all of a sudden, those bitcoins that were in the wallet, no one can access them. So it's effectively removed from circulation. So there's a lot of theories about what will happen. Personally, I don't think it'll be a big deal because deflation's happened like in one notable occasion in the modern times, and it wasn't really a problem. So anyway, so this is how the blocks get mined, and this is important because of this idea of a 51% attack, which I will go over now. So the point is, in order to, so you have all the data on this block, right? You have one block here, and then you have another block here, and you have another block here, and this just keeps going, right? And so that's why it's called a chain. It's a chain of blocks. So you have block 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And the information for the hash on block 5 depends on block 5 and every other block. And in 4, it depends on block 4 and every other block, and so on, and so on, and so on, right? And you have an entire system worth of computer program that's currently working on block 6 that's out here, right? I'll draw it like that because it's not fully loaded onto the chain yet, right? So in order for you to say I wanted to steal bitcoins or create some sort of flaw in the system, or if you were using this for accounting, that's related to accounting. Say I upload all of my accounting information to the blockchain. Every time a transaction is happening, every 10 minutes, the transaction block is getting loaded onto a chain. So I have a secure chain, right? Then I get to the end of the quarter, which is like here, right? And the manager's like, holy crap, I gotta alter some things and commit some fraud in order to make sure that we meet the correct earnings target. So they want to go back to this block and add a whole bunch of information to this block, right? Or maybe change the information on this block so that they can actually make it look like the sale is much larger than it actually is. So currently, there's not really much that we can do if the manager's trying to do that. We have to just detect it. So under this, what happens is, if I want to change the information on this block, then all of a sudden, the hash of this block becomes a different hash. Because the hash, as I mentioned, is made up of the information in that block and all blocks prior. So the hash in this block no longer matches the information that is present in all these other things. So if another person, so if someone just tried to do this without doing anything else, and they try to interact with the other nodes on the network, then the overwhelming majority of nodes would say, that's BS, that's not the hashes we have, and kick it from the system and say you can't do that, right? In order for them to successfully do this, you have to mount what's called the 51% attack. Although recent publications indicate that you don't actually need 51%. 51% refers to the computing power. So the idea is, if this may require you to use 50 units of computing power to load another book, right? We'll just call it 50 units of computing power. So if you were able to garner 51 units, or some amount of units more computing power than the rest of the system has, then you could theoretically alter this block and process all of these blocks quicker than the blockchain is processing new blocks, and then you can catch up to the blockchain. And since you have 51% of the computing power on the network, you can convince the network that your altered version of the blockchain is more correct than the version of the blockchain that everyone else is using. This is the idea of a 51% attack. This is why blockchain, or public ledger, is so important to be used on a global scale, right? Because for you to match 51% of the blockchain network as it's currently established is like ridiculous. I mean, I don't even think the NSA can like match that computing power. So there's really no way for you to mount what's called a 51% attack. So the literature now says that there's actually ways of computing these hashes faster than the system. You actually only need like 44% to mount a successful 51% attack. but either way it doesn't matter because that's still a law, right? But these problems do occur, right? So it could very well be that there's an error in the data that didn't get picked up in verification for whatever reason. So this doesn't really occur in blockchain, but this happened in Ethereum. So Ethereum is another type of secure currency, cryptocurrency. That's what they're called, cryptocurrency. And the idea was they put a smart contract onto to the blockchain, which is something we're going to go over in a second. And the smart contract had a problem. So some of the data, pretty much what happened was something like $500,000 worth of Ethereum, or something ridiculous, went totally missing because this contract malfunctioned and someone took advantage of it. And what they had to do was called a hard fork. So we realized, it turns out, there was a problem in block 3, right? So, holy crap, we just realized, so now we do a hard fork, and the system has to decide, in actual fact, we are going to adjust this information, and the hash on tag 4 is going to be different. So, we got 4 down here, and 5 down here, and then eventually 6, right? So this right here is called a hard fork. You need to be able to adjust the entire blockchain system so that the whole system knows that 4A is actually incorrect and 4B is the correct version. And they can swap over to 4B, correct? So here's the idea behind smart contracts. And this is where it starts to tie into accounting more right? So smart contract, this was originally proposed in the early 90s, but the problem was, or late 80s, I think. The problem was, it's all well and good for you to create a program that executes automatically, but if someone can go in and alter that program, then it's not really working. Right? Then all of a sudden, this conglomerate, Satoshi Nakamoto, comes up with this blockchain system, and you can have a way of loading a smart contract onto a block to operate throughout the rest of the blockchain. So you can't actually alter the conditions of the smart contract without having to mount a 51% attack situation. Right? So that's kind of the idea. Smart contracts are pretty much just computer programs that you can program to do whatever you want. They're called smart contracts because they were originally developed to be contracts. So the idea is that you program in the terms of your, for example, you're taking out a loan, right? And maybe your loan has a variable interest rate that depends on your company's debt position. Right? So you can program a smart contract with all of the things that you want within your loan. Like, so you're going to charge corporation X 10% interest on the loan, right? But if their creditworthiness goes below a certain value, we're going to increase that to 25% interest. And if their creditworthiness goes so far down, then we're going to call the loan right then, right? And the smart contract gets loaded onto the blockchain, and it starts operating, right? So you write a program into your blockchain that tells it to look for smart contracts when it does the verification process. And every time that happens, the smart contract will be operating, and you can program your smart contract through the use of oracles to actually look through any publicly available data. So they program these smart contracts to basically troll the internet for any information that's relevant to the contract. Like, for example, you can program a smart contract to operate between a buyer and a seller for like the value of gold, right? So I'm buying gold from you on a regular basis, but you want the value of the gold to be adjusting. So the smart contract will automatically monitor the value online, and the company monetary exchange will happen based on the smart contract's execution. So it can automatically take the correct funds out of my wallet and put them into your wallet correctly. In the case of a loan, it can monitor the internet and say it sees that there's a huge negative sentiment on social media all of a sudden about the company. It can then look on the correct websites like S&P or Moody's and determine like what your credit rating is. And once it sees that your credit rating is dropped, then it can actually call in the loan tool. So that gets programmed into the smart contract, right? So that's originally why it was. Put in, but the new thing, the thing that we're trying to push for here, is actually using these smart contracts as a form of internal control. Right? So at the validation stage, like I mentioned, the smart contract operates to search for the correct requirements for the information before the information gets loaded and cleared onto the chain. So the idea here is you create a smart contract. Let me see if that's on there. You create a smart contract, and the smart contract is able to operate as an internal control. For example, if you have a situation where I need approval for a $50 reimbursement that I'm putting in, right? Traditionally, I could still file that reimbursement. It could get past someone in accounting. I could get the money back, and that was never authorized. But with a smart contract, if the data is getting loaded onto the blockchain, and the data needs to get loaded onto the blockchain before accounting can release that payment to me, then in the validation stage, the smart contract will say, okay, this is the transaction that's trying to be loaded, $50 reimbursement. This is the smart contract that pertains to $50 reimbursement. So let's look through all the smart contracts. Are the terms and conditions present within the smart contract also present within the transaction? Is the transaction valid? Right? Once it sees that there's no authorization for that transaction, then the transaction will get bounced and it won't enter the system. And you'll obviously find out. You can program your smart contract to actually notify parties. So I can get a little email saying, hey, your request for reimbursement got bounced, and this is why. You were missing these requirements, right? So this is kind of where we're moving with smart contracts. We're also trying to use smart contracts in order to so we're trying to use blockchain as a secure information sharing system between auditors and the company they're trying to audit, right? So it's secure, it's real time, so you can move towards the real time processing aspect of continuous auditing. And I can, as an auditor, encrypt my smart contract so the company can't see what it is, and enable my smart contract to monitor the transaction data that's coming into the blockchain as it's coming in. And it can alert me as soon as there's a problem transaction, right? So, for example, if it's unusual for there to be transactions over $1 million in this specific account, and as an auditor, it's a high-risk account for me, I can program a smart contract which will allow me to monitor these transactions, and I can receive an alert when one of these high-risk transactions gets flagged, so that I can either, from an internal audit standpoint, address the issue right away. From an external standpoint, since we're still at annual audits, I know that I need to look into that account when I do perform my annual audit. Or if we're at the continuous auditing stage, I can then contact management and try to resolve the problem. Because it may not be an issue, but at least this way you can monitor that. So, yeah, this is the security aspect. You have the block hash, the proof of work, which is the whole algorithm thing that I was talking about, and then the distribution of the mining responsibility and the idea that you need to be able to mine blocks faster than a network if you want to alter some information that's present on the blockchain. Right? So then you can also use blockchain as a log for internal controls that can be accessed by auditors. So you can upload onto a blockchain all of the instances of internal control usage. For example, if you're monitoring a keypad and you want to know how often people are going in and out the door as an auditor or something like that, you can actually look at the timestamp information on the blockchain. The block is stamped with what time it gets moved, right? So you can see the timestamps, you see exactly when and how often it's happening. And so you can log these different events. You can also use it for process mining, which is something we're going to go over. Basically, process mining is the idea that you can follow the process from beginning to end, like purchase and pay, right? So you start off by filling out a purchase order. You get the purchase order approved. And then you go and then you submit it for to the company that you're requesting the purchase from. Then they send you the goods. Then you get the receipt. You match the receipt to the purchase order. Was the amount the same? Was it different? Were there any problems? You need authorization again. Then you get the authorization for the release of payment. And then you get the release of payment. And then you get the payment. From beginning to end, you have it. And if you have a timestamp version of how each of these things progress, the transaction identified, then you can actually see how long it takes you to get from stage to stage. Or how many times is it bouncing back between stage and stage. For example, maybe I need authorization, but maybe I didn't fill out the correct paperwork. So I have to go back. So then I go back for another authentication. I have more paperwork. Bounce back into these different things, creating these loops. And you can understand that from the blockchain processing, which is a tool that auditors can use to see if there's circumnavigation in terms. Then you have this idea of smart contract level controls, which I went over. Either they get accepted or rejected in the blockchain based on if they meet the criteria present within the actual smart contract, which is an internal control at this point. So you can move towards a more automated version of auditing if you do this, because it's all continuous information. You can link this information securely from the auditor to the company without worrying about third parties coming in and altering that information at any point. But there are some potential issues with smart contracts specifically. So they're only good as they're programmed to be. In the case of Ethereum, there was this huge problem with the hard fork that I went over because it was misprogrammed. And it's easy to adapt. So it may not be easy to adapt with valid exceptions. So there could be a situation where management overrides occur very frequently, and that's actually a normal part of the business process. But if you have a smart contract that won't let data be loaded if it fails to meet certain criteria, then that can cause an issue of having data that is still correct data being uploaded onto the system. Right? So this was an example, but I kind of do this. So this is the idea behind the closed environment that we're working on. Right? So the transaction occurs, and you receive it by the blockchain systems, right? Then what you have here is like the mining system. There's other ways to do blockchain mining that are way simpler than the proof of work, but they're less secure, right? So pretty much it's looking to see all the relevant information. Where is it located? It retrieves all the requirements from the smart contract, and then pretty much either reject the transaction and notify the parties if the smart contract conditions are not met, and if they are, it's accepted. So you might want to still notify people like, hey, we're going to make this payment because everything's okay. Then what happens is the entry gets posted, it gets loaded into the block. Then, once it gets loaded into the block, it's validated, it becomes timestamped, you can share this information with all the different people. So you've got the auditors, you've got the management, you've got the shareholders, and you have what's called armchair auditors, which is this concept that people hear much about. It's like, I make this available to the public can access my data and look through it for like do their own like scan for fraud. So it gets integrated. So pretty much the idea here is you have a blockchain and it provides a secure sharing mechanism between auditors and the company. Another important feature which I forgot to because it wasn't in the slide is this idea of a triple entry system. Not triple entry is in like double entry credit and debit. Triple entry is in the entries getting reported. So within my company, I work for company X and we do business with company Y, right? So we have a ledger that reports all of this information, right? They have the same ledger, they have a different ledger that is recording all of the same information. Say all of this information only pertains to our transactions between us, right? The idea is I create a blockchain between our two companies, right? Between the two companies. So now every transaction between the two companies is linked on blockchain with smart contracts that govern the relationship of interaction between our companies. And this blockchain provides a totally secure, independent version of both of these ledgers that can be used to verify that my ledger is correct and to verify that their ledger is correct by the auditor, right? And if both of these companies are operating on this blockchain, then all of this information is correct. So even if I'm not operating on blockchain here, you can look and see, based on this blockchain, am I representing my financial statement correctly, right? Because if I have this blockchain system, even if I don't have it for myself, if I have this blockchain system for every business that I do an interaction with, then I have an independent third party that is providing verification information for what I'm actually providing. The other nice thing about a blockchain is is that there's a huge problem with these like large corporations where management, so I manage the Southwest branch, and he manages the Southeast branch, and on top of that, we're like a global corporation, so we have branches in all different countries. So at the end of the year, when I'm preparing my financial statement, I need to make sure that all of this information is being consolidated correctly, and also that all of the information that the managers are supplying me with is correct and accurate, right? So if I have a blockchain within my company, then there's no need for that because all of the company's transactions are in the same place. It's already standardized, and if every individual manager on the network is a separate node, then in order for it to get uploaded to the blockchain in the first place, they've already verified that the information is correct and effectively agreed on the information that is present in the blockchain. And then the final application of blockchain is in conjunction with what we just learned, which is XBRL, which is why I decided to do this with XBRL. If you have transaction level data on a blockchain that is tagged using XBRL tagging, then when it comes time to do your financial statements, guess what? Your information is already being audited by the auditor because it's a continuous feed between the two of you if you're sharing the blockchain. And it's really easy for you to create your financial statements, even if you need one financial statement for the United States, a separate one for Brazil, and a separate one for your branch in Japan. Because you can use the tagged information to aggregate your financial statements in whatever way they specifically want you to do. Does that all make sense? All right. There are other applications for blockchain in auditing and in accounting, but you guys are going to present on that, so I'll let you come up. Are there any questions on blockchain or XBRL? All right, good work, guys. I'll see you guys on Monday. Enjoy the presentation.